Hello friends! Today, we're going to be talking about elf genders and hedgehog sweaters. This might sound strange, but I can explain. And honestly, thank you for clicking the video, thank you for watching this. The fact that you are cool to watch this not having any clue, probably not having any clue what I'm on about, is kind of heartwarming, right? I love you. You're so wonderful. Thank you. But this is an actual stream. No. There are a bunch of near-free tabletop RPG games available in a itch.io bundle for trans rights in Florida. Because Florida is apparently they're making a bunch of laws that just make it illegal to be transgender. I don't know the details. I don't really want to know the details, but for $5 you can get like a dozen, how many are in there? A whole bunch of TTRPGs, tabletop RPGs, and tabletop RPG resources, two of which we're going to be covering today. The first one is called Hedgehog Sweaters, and it is a cute little tabletop RPG about running a sweater making shop as a tiny hedgehog who makes sweaters, and it's a solo RPG. That is to say, it's an RPG for a single player to play on their own as a type of being a video game, as a type of mental exercise. And we're going to be playing some of that first in just a few moments. And then after that, we're going to go into Elf Genders, which is a world-building tool for creating additional gender expression forums for a tabletop RPG aside from the standard binary that humans represent in our world. So if you want to see that, go ahead and click on the notification in the top corner here. If you're watching me live, you can't do that right now. You know this. Why do you check? Why did you check to see if you could do that? You can't do that. It's not going to be there until after the stream. Like, why do you do that? Okay. Anyways, I have gotten out a set of RPG dice and a set of playing cards, because I know I'm going to need both. Animal Crossing from the point of view of the Able Sisters. Honestly, yeah, that's pretty spot on. I wouldn't be surprised whatsoever if that was the base inspiration for it. But in the meantime, before we get right into it, I'm going to tell you about my dice, because I have several dice here. You may have seen my TikTok recently about rolling 78 left foot in a Brontosaurus. That is actually this dice set that I have here. I have a location die, which has, chest, full body, left hand, left arm, head, right arm. It's a D12, I think. It looks like it's a D12. It just has several hit locations on there. I could have sent the link to chat and I still would have pointed to it. I have a D1, which is literally just a ball from a Ramune bottle. It's just a marble. It's basically just a marble. And I keep it around because, well, I find it me to have a D1. I have an actual weighted balanced D7 that is mathematically correct. And then several of my D6s have different things on the sides and top and whatnot. So, and yeah, I have one with a Brontosaurus on the 6th side. I have one with a bat on the one side. I have several pairs of fancy D6s. I have a pair of round D6s that are internally weighted, so they actually land on numbers. And then I have my point die, which is a D10 that goes from 0.0 to 0.9. Because I don't know why. Because I saw it and I wanted it. I also have my Japanese die that shows kanji for instead of the numbering switch. People love to see if they don't know how to speak Japanese. Or read Japanese, I suppose. I pull all my excess dice away. And put my actual die set to the side as we break out upon Sweaters by Hedgehog, which will be using a card set. Actually, I need to widen this a bit. Am I okay here? I'm probably okay here. You're just a little hedgehog person trying to sell your little sweaters in your little village shop. This is a game about recording a log of your most interesting customers. You can write journal entries, draw pictures, or just play in your imagination. You'll need a standard deck of playing cards, which I have in front of me, ideally with jokers, which this set does have two jokers, which is the standard amount. Setup. Well, let me actually get out the everything here. I have my deck separated by suit, and I will put jokers into two of them at random. Excellent. Think about our character, your story, your village. What is your hedgehog's name? What is the relationship to the village where they have their shop? What does your shop look like inside? This is about just building up a location. So my hedgehog that is selling sweaters is in a very public, walkable area of a fairly large, I'm going to say city for lack of a better word, but it's entirely built into nature. Is it okay if you have Pokemon cards? Probably not going to get the same effect, but you know what? Yeah, by all means. I think that anything that sparks your imagination is good for this, right? Anything that sparks your brain to do brain thinks is going to be what you're going to want to have. So, what's our character's name? We'll go with Cassie. Cassie the Hedgehog. There's an OC for you. Google that and link it to me in the Discord if you want me to cry. What is their store? The store is in a walkable area of a little village that is full of life and excitement and many passersby. It's at a fairly popular junction on two major routeways. So while the town itself is not notable in any way, it has a lot of traffic. So it can be quiet on some days and wildly active on others, just by the nature of it. Yeah, there's an old thing, Google your name, the Hedgehog, and see what people have made. That's a real classic thing to either do to people or to meme about. Alright, once you're ready, divide your deck by suit. I've done that. What is my relationship to the village where we have our shop? We were fairly reclusive. We mostly lived outside the village for a long time, just doing some individual work for people that needed it. But then we decided to open up a village in the shop. So we still feel a little bit of an outsider, but because a lot of the people walking through here are travelers, it's fine. People are either going to a dock city. You know, we're gonna be Tiffle. This is gonna be Tiffle. This is gonna be in Tiffle. If you don't know where Tiffle is, then don't worry about it. Let me pull it up. It's in... This is the Cannon Comfy Cave. So this is the Comfy Cave. Here's Keston. And down here is the port city. And here's the town of Tiffle, halfway between the port city and the main city. And this is where we're going to be. Why not? It works. It fits pretty well. The Candlelight Port. Okay, so I should move you a little bit here. Perfect. All right. What does our shop look like inside? I think it's pretty natural, pretty woody, pretty... I mean, most things in the town are made of wooden structures, mostly hand-built. All hand-built at some point. But rather than trying to modernize it and look like something that it's not, we've leaned into the hand-built things, leaving some wood surfaces unfinished and other ones just sort of embracing the idea that the aesthetic for this place is homey, right? It's a homey atmosphere. There we go. We've owned the business for a while, but we just opened in the town. And it's typical of the village, but a little bit more rustic. Alright, let me make sure I have these in the right order. Diamonds, spades, quartz, clubs. Excellent. I don't remember which stacks I put the jokers in, but I'm sure it's great. You'll be drawing one card from each suit to represent a customer for the day. Feel free to draw as many customers as you'd like. Maybe it was a slow day, draw 4 customers. Maybe it was a very busy day, draw 13. Follow the writing prompts, or don't. It's your game. Again, this is a cozy game, the goal of which is to just make your imagination spark. It's designed to make you think about something, and then to encourage you to just let your imagination wander. It's a guide only in the loosest sense, with designed to encourage you to follow it only so far as you are going to have pleasure with it. Alright, what is our creature type? And this is the game. A mouse, a mole, a hedgehog, a raccoon, squirrel, rabbit, bird, lizard, bat, possum, weasel, badger, fox, or the Joker. The Joker being the head of a bear suddenly appearing in your shop. I'm gonna do this more by time mark rather than an actual set number of customers for the day. But I have drawn a 10, so it is a possum. Let me actually make a note of that in a notepad. It's a possum that joined us. The interaction is a 2. They're a respected member of the town. Oh, we'll have to figure that out in a few moments. What is the Joker here? I'm just curious. They don't remember entering the store or who they are. Oh, that's fun. We have... It's a club. It should be the spades that's next. Spade is what they're looking for. It's a 9 again. Not an again, but it's a 9 now. They're going on a hike and need something durable. Ooh. Where are they going? Have they done this hike before? And lastly, the Joker. Something very special. The Joker, the Queen here is striped. Looking for it to be striped. So, this is rather surprising, but after we opened our shop on the first day, our first customer was actually the mayor himself. Mayor Possum. You know, that's the name. The name is Mayor Possum. Mayor Possum showed up himself to buy a sweater. Now, Mayor Possum loves to go hiking. He's well-known naturalist. He's well-known for going out into the woods, into the wilderness, just to survive on days on end, much to the chagrin of his secretary, who tends to take over the running of the town in his absence. Well, Mayor Possum, it turns out, was going to go all the way into the mountains for this couple days. He said he'll be back in a few days, and he needed something that's going to keep him warm if he makes it all the way to the summit. At which point his secretary, who was with him by the way, he went there with the secretary. The secretary said, rolled her eyes so bad that I'm pretty sure that he's not going to actually make it all the way to the summit. But he thinks he's going to, and you know what? That's good enough for me. And in case he does, in case he manages to make it all the way to the summit, I have something very sturdy. Now, it's a nice, very cold winter one. I had to get out of storage because it's just going to get into spring now. And I started to get all the winter stuff pushed away in favor of, lighter knits and vests and things more for the spring. But I still had some of my nicest pieces for the winter that I completed over the winter. And one of them in particular, I thought it wouldn't see sales until next year because, well, It's just I just finished it recently, but it's perfect for him. It's a tight knit. It's very durable. The yarn that I used will survive 1,000 winters, and he was very happy. I don't think that his secretary was as happy as he was, mostly on account of the fact that he's going to be gone for several days. But you know what? She's run the town fantastically in his absence in the past, and while he is a fantastic mayor, I also think that she is a fantastic secretary of state of the town. Secretary of town. That's a position, right? Probably a position. I have no idea. She's the secretary of town, though, and they could work well together. That's our first customer. Alright, let's go back up to us and do this again. And we're just going to do this probably 4 times, I'm thinking. And this is what the game is. It's literally just find a creature in the cards in an interaction that goes with it. And this one is a mole. A mole. And there's someone I've never gotten along with. Could this be a moment of reconciliation? We'll have to see. We'll have to see. What are they here for? What are they actually looking for, though? They're looking for... Ooh, it's a king, is it? The highest quality... Oh, no! The highest quality, most luxurious sweater you can make. Money is no issue. And lastly, of what color and style? It's a 2, so it's orange. Murder the Mole came in looking for a sweater, and frankly, I would rather that he didn't. You see, he has bought my sweaters in the past, and they have consistently come back ruined. Oh, it was not knit well enough, buddy. It was knit perfectly. Oh, it was stained, and I think I couldn't get it, buddy. It was not stained when you got it. There's a tear in it. There sure is, and it looks like you've been dragging it through dirt underground too. And now he was asking for the highest quality sweater that we can have, and I know he's going to take it back to his burrow, and I know he's going to get there by burrowing, and I know this thing is going to get ruined. And when it does, he's going to come back and complain. And I, for one, simply do not have the patience to deal with Mr. Mole today. This mole is very much an entitled brat. So, I am going to... The most luxurious sweater. Well, I do have some yarn from... Rabbit. What's the name of it? It starts with an A. No. There's a long-haired rabbit whose name starts with an A that you can get yarn from, and it's very special and very pretty. And that is what he asked for. But I'll tell you right now, that ain't what he's gonna get. The good thing is that this mole is also an idiot. And I don't think that he's going to know the difference between me giving him an Angora, thank you, an Angora sweater, or giving him one made of burlap. But, so I'm going to go down a few notches. He asked for the best quality materials, well, he's going to get the best materials that will work. And for him, it's going to be something sturdy. This sweater is going to be the strongest knit that I've ever made, and I'm going to charge him hand and foot for this. And I'm going to short him on the materials, but I'm going to go overboard on the construction. And there's no way that this thing is going to come back to me with a tear or a run or anything other damage. In fact, he's going to like it, and it's going to look perfect, and it's going to be orange, so that when he gets dirt on it, he won't be able to complain because it's not going to stain as hard. The stains will come out of the orange, the the knit is never going to fall apart, and I'm going to make this customer happy, whether he likes it or not. What do you think? Is that pretty good? Need some more water. Ah, excellent. Our next customer, a king. It's a fox. It's Tuzzy. It's Tuzzy. I'm just making a note that that's Tuzzy. Thank you for the contexted. What? I'm terrified. 4. And the interaction is they have several children. Tuzzy has several children with him. Interesting. They are looking for 8. They're new to this town and want to fit in. What's my biggest seller? And then lastly, another 8 in white. Okay. So, Tuzzy Fox himself comes into the store. Surprisingly, Tuzzy has in tow several kids. They are all younger, definitely not their own children, but it seems as though he's been pinned with watching the children for their cousin. Their cousin is in town and spending some time with the family, and they just didn't want to impose upon anyone, but they were kind enough to Tuzzy was kind enough to offer to take them off their hands so they could see the town unimpeded. Unfortunately, this left Tuzzy with, far too many responsibilities for the day, between drawing water and doing the repairs to their home, and now having to watch these kids as well. And in addition to that, one of the older kids didn't dress appropriately. It's still fairly cold here, and they came entirely in short-sleeved shirts and short pants. So they need something that's going to keep them warm enough while they're in town. But they're also kind of a trendy fashion nut. Not Tuzzy, mind, but this kid that's with them. And they only want the best, and they're a little whiny, but they're still kind of cute, so it's okay. It's not a big deal. And you can just see Tuzzy rolling his eyes the entire time that this kid is looking at all the different sweaters and going, I don't know if this one would fit my fur. It's like, So Tuzzy and I discreetly giggled and shared some smiles while the kid went through literally every single sweater in the entire building to try to find something that would be suitable. They just went through every single piece trying to find something that was fashionable. And they wouldn't listen to me. They wouldn't listen to me until they had been through every single drawer and every single dresser and every single rack in the entire building. And then, after all of that, then they came up to me and drop a, so what do you recommend? So, I pull out my bestseller. I tell them, hey, people in this town, people traveling in either direction, they all love this. This right here is considered fashionable in these parts. And you would be fashionable if you wore this. Now, that last part might seem a bit forward, it might seem a bit blunt, but let's be honest, this kid needed a bit of bluntness. So they tried it on, and mind you, they tried this on before. They had tried this on earlier when they entered the shop, but they didn't remember it. I think they were just obsessed with trying on every single thing that they could get their hands on. Well, the kids picks it up, says, "Okay, thank you," and goes up to buy it. And then realized that they forgot their wallet at home. And they looked at Tuzzy and said, "Tuzzy, can you cover this for me?" Like, oh my god, kid. How much trouble have you been all day for this poor boy? And, well, fortunately, I just left it on a tab, so I trust them. I trust Tuzzy will come back and pay for it the next day, or whenever they're available for it. If it was just this kid, I'd tell him which tree to climb, but I think that Tuzzy's gonna have enough problems to dealing with this, these kids for the rest of the day, because, they seem like they're a big handful. But for now, I think that this one will suit them well, and whenever they get around to it, I'll make sure I know that I'll get taken care of. Our fourth one starts with a 3. And this is a Hedgehog. And they are here for a 6. They're in a hurry. Oh. They're in a rush. And 5. They're in a rush. Ooh, they're looking for a gift for a new love. Ooh. How do they look when they talk about that person? Oh, I think I know where this is gonna go. And a 5. It's in blue. So this Hedgehog is not related to me. They were traveling to the north on the North Road, headed towards Keston, and headed towards the King's Road. There's no kings anymore. I mean, we've well moved past the need for kings in our society. But it's still called the King's Road from an older time, and well, that's just what it's known as. It's a giant loop road that goes around basically the entire area north of Keston. Well, this Hedgehog apparently forgot his anniversary. He had a really nice dinner planned. And, well, he had a dinner planned with his partner, and this was going to be a delightful dinner. And then his partner sprung on him. "I'm so glad that you remembered our anniversary." He didn't. He just planned his dinner because he wanted to go out to eat. But it turns out that it was their first anniversary of dating, and he completely blanked on it. But he was going to be okay because he already had planned to get to take her out to dinner. But now he needed a gift. He needed it quick. So he really quick needed something. And I don't think they're a bad person. It's not like only bad people forget anniversaries, right? They just forgot and wanted to. And I get the impression that they're just really bad with dates. They're just really bad with remembering dates. They talked about their partner with so much love and compassion that I really don't think there's any issue. Like, it's not like, they forgot about it because they didn't care. No. But they don't want their partners to think that they didn't care. They haven't been going out that long. I mean, it's been a year, but, it's been... They don't seem like they're... Yeah. He's still nervous. He's still nervous because he wants to show the type of love that their partner expects. But who's their partner? Well, let me flip another card. Their partner is a lizard, actually. It's an 8. So their partner is, in fact, a kobold girl. Fortunately, as being a kobold girl myself, I can do a very good job of figuring out what's going to fit well and be fashionable. And, I can certainly get it in a delightful little blue color as well. Or maybe I am? No, that wouldn't make sense. Okay, next one. A jack. A weasel. A weasel. I'm going to keep on going until I hit one of the jokers. I don't know where the jokers are. These are in stacks in front of me. So I'm just going to keep on going until I find a joker here. A 3. A celebrity weasel, no less. Interesting. Another 3. The sweater isn't from them, but a grandchild. Ooh. They ask you for something very unstylish. I need to point them towards something more hip. And a 10. And they're looking for something in gray. Well, that's not very stylish. They're coming in, so who is this weasel? What are they known for? I think she's a vocalist. I think that this weasel used to be, or is rather, one of the great bards in the land. A fantastic singer and songwriter. And she came in the shop looking for this, looking for a sweater for her granddaughter. But what's interesting to me, personally, is that I didn't know that they had a kid. I didn't know that they had a partner, let alone a grandkid. I had never heard that part of the story. There's plenty of stories about her, and her exploits, and traveling the land, and all the adventures that they've been going on, but none of them have ever mentioned a partner. And that's surprising to me. Well, also as a famous bard, you'd expect them to pick out something more stylish than just a simple flat gray. You'd think that they were... It was almost like they were trying to go incognito and be like, oh, no one will notice them, and just get something really subtle and withdrawn. It's like, no. They wanted the gray. Fine, I can do gray. But what about this piece here that's black and white? Striped. Black and white on a bit of a diagonal stripe across the piece. Very hard to knit, actually. But well worth the price for it being able to stand out in a crowd. And it kind of fits the monochrome that they were looking for. So I steered them in the direction of something that was going to be a bit more stylish than their initial thought. And I'm going to want to ask around and find some gossip about who their partner is, or was, and how they managed to get a grandchild out of that deal. They don't look that old, they really don't. But sometimes looks can be deceiving, you know? Okay. Next we have 9, a bat. And we have a 5. The interactionist is the most important one in my opinion. I feel like the interaction one is the one that really defines what's going on. They're constantly looking over their shoulder outside of the windows of the shop. Ooh. In the spade we have the queen. They're looking for something to make them look very professional. Being put together clearly matters to them. And we got a king in the style. Color blocked. Wait, what's that mean? I forget what that means. Oh, okay. Just multicolor. So Miss Bat has an interview. She has a job interview coming up. And it's all the way up in Keston. She's headed north. She's actually from the town. She's someone who we all know here. Many people, these people are travelers passing through. But Miss Bat here is actually from a local. Usually the locals already own my stuff and don't need to buy it. I try to sell it more towards the people passing through than to the people who live here. Since if you make a good enough product, you only need to buy it once, right? Many people here have at least one of my sweaters, and, well, they don't need to buy a new one every year, so they just sort of sit around with it. Well, Miss Bat needs something that she can wear to a job interview. She's applying to be one of the, what's the word I'm looking for? Is that where I'm... Okay. She's applying to be one of the leaders of the Cobblers Confederacy. That's right. So she might actually be in charge of the entire Cobblers Guild. If things go well, if she gets the support from her peers, and if she can impress them. And, well, I can't really help her impress with her words, or with her speech, or with her shoes, but I can help her impress with her sweater. That much I'm good at. And so I will. Interestingly, she wanted it to be multicolors and not something that was just more static, and I think that's a good idea. Honestly, I was a little skeptical because I was expecting it to be a fairly simple piece, that's simple and professional. But having it be professional in cut, professional in tailor, but more vibrant in color, is going to make an impression, and that's the kind of impression she wants to make. She wants to bring this sort of youth and exuberance and excitement to the entire guild. And something that has a splash of color in it, and something that has a couple splashes of color in it that go well together, are going to be an excellent, excellent presentation for her. And I think that it's going to go swimmingly. I believe in her. She's got this. We're going to keep on going until we get a joker. You have a 6 for a rabbit. What are the odds the jokers I have 2 jokers in these 4 stacks. There's 2 jokers split up in 2 different stacks here. What are the odds they're on the bottom? Almost guaranteed at this point, right? The interaction is a 7. They are slow and indecisive, taking me away from other customers. As a rabbit? Oh, that's interesting. Ooh, we have the Ace of Spades. They're looking for something cozy and oversized. Okay, so now we had a really good portrait of this. They're a rabbit that wants to get a nice, cozy, oversized, lazy, lounging sweater. Just something to keep nice and warm. And we got another ace. I did shuffle these. It's in red. Just reshuffle these because... Good. Sorry, the last stack of the clubs I kind of bumped while I was doing that. Okay. So. Mr. Rabbit is the slowest rabbit that I have ever seen. But it's not just that they're slow and want to... Where is it? 7? 7. It's not just that they're slow and just going to look around. The thing is that they keep on asking questions. It's not a problem to be slow. If you want to come in and look through everything in the store and try everything on, that's one thing. That's fine. But if you're going to expect me to be helping you hand and foot the entire time, then you've got another thing coming. Mr. Rabbit is not in a hurry. They are wandering in here just to browse, but they want me to hold their hand through browsing. They want me to just give my opinions on everything. And we all know that he's going to pick something 2 sizes too big that's going to be a nice red to match every other shirt that he wears. He only wears red shirts, by the way. It's not like there's any question about what he's going to buy. But no, he needs to try on everything. Of course he's a grandparent rabbit. Absolutely. That's 1000% correct. And I've about had it with him, frankly. But you know what? I'm still friends with Mrs. Rabbit. I'm still friends with most of the extended rabbit family. So I don't want to ruffle any feathers. I don't want to raise any hairs. But boy howdy, is this lad going to be the death of me? I have a rush. There's an entire caravan in town, and all of them are looking at the shop. And I need to be helping these customers that won't be here tomorrow, because let's be honest, I know that Mr. Rabbit's going to be here tomorrow too to actually purchase, because he never buys something the same day. Anything. He never buys something the same day that he's looking at it. Ever. He will always go and look at something and then come back the next day and buy it. It's like, buddy, go ahead. Try on anything in the shop. The changing room key is yours. I'll make you a copy. But I need to be helping these other customers, and if you have an actual question and not another anecdote about one of your kids, then I'll be here to help. And if not, I have work to do, okay? Thanks. Seven. A bird. Yo, Joker. For the interaction. They don't remember entering the store. It's a bird. They're bird-brained. Okay, sure. We've already got the character that's starting to write itself. Ooh. Maybe I got an idea. And a 2 for what they're looking for. They're looking for a durable sweater for working outdoors. Didn't I already do that? What's my first one? Oh, that was the hike one. So this is an outdoors work. Okay. And then a jack. An Argyle working? Okay. So this bird crashed into my store. But the thing is, they didn't crash in from the main door. They were actually flying above, and they landed in the loft on the 2nd floor. From the outside. Because the windows were open, because I wanted to get some nice ventilation air in here, and this nerd just came flying clear in through the window. Sorry. And they just came clear in, flying through the window. And they got confused. They just completely got confused about where they were going, and they panicked. They were panicked. They were knocking over bolts of cloth, just absolutely going ham on the yarn, and the spindles were sailing through the sky. I don't know where they were going, and honestly, I don't think they do either, but they crashed in here. But you know what? I am a salesperson. I'm going to find the sail. Before I I shouldn't take advantage of somebody who's confused like this, but I did point out that their light coat was fairly tattered, and I don't think it was from the crash either. I think this is a fairly recurring thing for them. So I actually managed to sell them on a nice Argyle working sweater with nice pads on the well, not elbow, yeah, and not on the elbows, I would say. How does a bird even wear a sweater? I'm getting into logistical problems now. It's pads. It has pads. It has pads on wherever it is that birds need pads. It's well padded and very important. You see. Okay. Anyway. And I convinced them that this would be a lot more sturdy for them if they ever go crashing into another building again. But hopefully not this one, and I'm going to make sure that next time I open the loft, it's only going to be open just a crack. And that way that I can't have any more strangers blundering into my work area. Did I overcharge him for the sweater? Yes, I did. I overcharged him for the sweater, but as a way of paying for the amount of work I'm going to have to do to respin all of my bolts and all of my spindles. Where was the other Joker? Ah, the other Joker was going to be in the first one. The creature type. It would have been the bear. Oh, that would have been cute. Oh well. Let me put these away, and we can start on elf genders. Honestly, that's perfect. We're at about an hour mark. I was planning to spend an hour on each, so this works out well. But I will never put cards away without shuffling them, so I will. And if you're curious how I shuffle them, I don't think this is going to catch. I don't think this is going to catch on my hand tracking whatsoever. But I first waterfall the cards into each other. I split them and put them just into the other set of cards for each of these stacks. And then I do the... Oops, some of these are upside down. I don't want any of them upside down. That's something that I learned from playing Magic the Gathering, is that I hate it when my cards are upside down. I saw that one of them was. Wait, was literally just one? No, not quite. They were a small handful. There are 4 upside down cards. I have no idea how I managed that. That was a busy day in the shop. We're going to close up and start heading home. Well, we could sleep in the loft if we want to stay in town, but there's a nice little hut outside of town that's much cozier, you see. And that, I think, is going to suit us better. These cards are waterproof. They're like little plastic cards, and you can kind of see through them as well. And I think they're cute. That's all. I just think they're cute. Waterproof clear playing cards. Very good. Alright. Elf genders. This is a world-building resource that was a part of the same set, and I just picked 2 things that caught my eye. I picked 2 things that caught my eye that had strange enough of a name that I thought that people might want to see them. Really, that's what it boiled down to, is that I picked the things that had strange enough names and strange enough setups that I thought they'd be fun to show off, and maybe even encourage some people to drop the $5 necessary to help. Is this a spin down? Oh, that's an illegal die. Oh my gosh. To help people. Because, well, Trans Day of Visibility is coming up, and I think that it's good to have people not die in Florida. Hot take. So I have my D4, D6, I have 2 D8s just because I grabbed a pair of them, a D10, a D12, a D16, a D20, and a D100. I don't know what I need for this. But the idea of this is that this is going to be playing with gender expressions for non-human, non-standard characters. Elf Genders is a world-building tool for creating your own new systems of fantasy genders. Most humans are women, men, possibly non-binary, but what if maybe elves are something else entirely? Elves are the example culture, but you can use this system to create genders, unique genders for dragons, orcs, fae, werewolves, or anything other creatures. Want to brighten up your fantasy RPGs with vivid, complex gender options? Generate these settings and lore details before you start. I won't need the D16, okay. Everyone has the D16, right? That's a normal thing. Not everything uses it, but it's good to have. For multiplayer sessions, you'll need a method of... Okay, whatever. This tool is provided primarily for world creation, not individual characters. It focuses on the level of a society rather than individuals. You create the typical ideas of gender about that the average elves know and believe in. However, this includes the typical elves' reaction when someone gender expression differs from the norm. You'll create for five things: aesthetics, power, bodies, personality, and romance and sexuality. You may complete the stages in any order, skip any stages that you don't want, and add details whenever you want. The rolling dice, blah blah blah. There's no success or failure, blah blah blah. This is actually a really interesting part of this. You can make your elf culture gender norms utopian or dystopian if you want. If you're playing with a group, though, keep a dialogue open on how friendly or unfriendly a society everyone's interested in exploring. If everyone's uncomfortable playing with certain content, choose different options. Gender can be a challenging subject to play with when you belong to a marginalized group of people in real life, but it can also be cathartic, inspiring, or simply more of the normal. The authors of this, who are trans and outside of binary, want you and your friends to have a positive, trans-friendly experience. However, a trans-friendly experience will mean different things for different people. For example, one player may want their fantasy world to be more open and accepting than the real world, as a chance to feel some relief. Another trans player may want their fantasy world to be even more oppressive than their own world, to roleplay a character who can resist and overcome the worst. And a third player may not care much about either way because it's just a fantasy, and they don't want to deal with that in the fantasy world. We all deal with gender oppression differently and use role-playing games to satisfy different desires. I feel like this is important to point out. I feel like this is a good thing to point out, because it's good and cool. Like, different people have different needs when it comes to role-playing, right? Not everybody has the same plans, desires, needs, goals, intentions. I'm gonna buy some new dice today, by the way. Pretty much as soon as the stream's over, I'm gonna drop some money on some new dice that I've had my eyes on for a hot minute. Sorry. If you want to know more about that, then join the Discord, and I'll share what I share you. Hi. Different human cultures have different gender norms, so maybe elf cultures do too. Okay, so how many genders are we going to have? Let's do 4. We can do 4 elf genders. The elves have 4 gender. Okay. And which category is the most important? It is the bodies. The elves. The bodies are actually the elves are actually very focused on their physical bodies in terms of how they identify different genders. Begin with the most important section, then do the other ones in any order. Alright, let's get down to bodies. In elf culture, what is the relationship between body and gender? It's important. If that's the most important thing, then I kind of feel like it can't be nothing to do. But let's just toss down a d4 and see what happens, shall we? It's a 3. Body types are loosely associated with gender. Okay, I like that. I like that. So bodies are loosely associated with gender. Which is good. And then most elves of the same gender share similar D12. That's a 9, actually. Tattoos! Ooh! I like this. I like the direction this is going already. Can you put on screen the text document? Sure. Sure. Okay. Okay. Perfect. ADHD. Changing your gender is an art form, celebrated, common, easy, hard, illegal, a part of aging, part of everyday, prestigious. I like these options. Two, celebrated. Okay. I like that. You have a gender reveal party at various points of your age where you just sort of change it up. And people congratulate you because it means that you've had some sort of breakthrough internally. Changing your body is common. Interesting, okay. Wait a sec, how do I... That's true, magic, yeah. With magic, why wouldn't it be common? Change my gender a couple times every week. If I could. So I didn't see anything about different genders here. If we're doing 4 genders, then why is this like this? Let's go back up. Let's go back up. And go down for... aesthetics. Okay, so what taste focus? Okay, so body isn't actually about the specific ones, it's about a general question of how it's seen in general, I guess? Okay, so, aesthetics. I'm just gonna leave them 1, 2, 3, and 4. We'll give them names, if they deserve names, at the end. In elf culture, what tastes are considered typical for each gender? Well, the first gender, 17, or organza, organja. I'm pretty sure that's a food. I don't think that's a material. That's a food. I'm pretty sure organza is a foreign dish that you can order. But okay, I have no idea what that means. 14, leather. I love it. I mean, I mean, it's just, big fan. 18. Plush. I assume they just mean like soft and not like wearing a bunch of toys. Thin plain weave. Oh, silk. Oh. I was gonna say thin silk. Well. And a net one. Bone. Well, right out of the gate, we already have an idea of these. I could probably do the rest of the work for this design right off of these here. One of the genders tends towards thin silks. Another trends towards leather. Another trends towards wearing soft, soft velvets and cottons. And the fourth tends to mostly prefer to wear bone. I could probably write the rest of the module off of that. Alright. Color palette. 1. Ooh. Interesting. Black and gray silk. Depends if you're high or low magic. If it's just proof for your chosen body, then it makes sense. If it's a low magic, it could take multiple sessions, and it could be painful. So yeah. I mean, several years of hormones is the kind of level of magic that we're running at. All right, what kind of leather? What kind of leather are these elves preferring? Primary colors? Interesting. Not what I would have expected. And for the soft materials. They like... No, I'll keep it. Okay. I rolled another 1, but I guess black and gray is both for the silks and for the softs. Which, I mean, right out of the gate, those are what we would consider now as being more feminine, right? The silk and the softs, the velvets, would be more feminine, whereas leather and bone would be more masculine. Though we're going to get all sorts of gender... we're also going to get all sorts of gender bent in here real quick, I'm pretty sure. And then earth tone bone. That just tracks. That just makes sense to me. All right. Let me just aesthetic this a little bit. Good. So what sort of musical instruments are cliché for these genders? The thin silks of black and gray tend towards electronic music? That's a weird path. Leather trends towards also electronic. So we have a very interesting schism right there. Or I'm just going to roll 4 1s in a row. That's a 3. Okay, strings. And a 6. Ethereal. So this first gender tends towards thin, soft silks in blacks and grays, and stereotypically they like electronic music, but so does the second gender as well. So do the twos. The twos also tend to like that same type of music. Though they're a bit more colorful and wearing leather. It's just goths. We just reverse engineered goths. The thin silk goths and the leather goths both are at the rave. I mean, this is okay, sure. What scent is generally associated with each of these? And then we'll figure out why once we have a better idea of the wider set. That's interesting to have a scent idea. Let's see. Interesting. So the cooks are these thin silk-laden people. Leather and smoke. That makes sense. Leather and smoke. Oh! We have smoke here, too. Does that create some sort of connection between those two genders? It's my luck. What do you guys expect? Okay, so both 1 and 2 share this love of electronic music, and both 1 and 4 tend to be the cooks of the society. So the people who are most likely, who are cliche, again, this is assuming cliches, the ones who are cliche to look for, to be expected to cook for their family and for their tribe, are both the ones who wear thin silk and like electronic music, but also the bone earth tone people who like their drum jams. That's kind of cool. Flavors. We have savory. I don't know if this is actually helpful to me, but bitter. Smoke, bitter. That adds up. That works perfectly. And sour for these guys. Interesting. So we have a like of bitter and sour for the leather and the plush gender. And then we have the oh, I see it. I see it. The bone individuals, the bone gender, tends to prefer unseasoned foods and meats. So these are the ones who cook meat and fish and are hunters. I think that the number 4 is going to be more of the hunting individuals, whereas number 1 is more of the homemaking individuals. So while these here will make the more bland food, these will be more likely to season it. Okay, that could be a thing. That could be a thing. Power. In each area of the society, what does each gender have the most and least authority in? Now that's fun. Okay, D10s, let's rock. We're going to do most and least. That makes sense. Okay, so right here, they are also the ones who focus on religion and... I rolled 8 again. I rolled another 8, so they are the most, the power in religion and the least power in religion. Do I re-roll that, or do I justify that? No, I keep it. They are the most associated with religion, but they are also typecast into it. If you are identified as that gender, you are assumed to be either into religion or practicing in religion or a part of a choir or something, but not leading it. You wouldn't be leading the religion. That would not be something you'd be allowed to do. So you would have a lot of expectation for it, but not a lot of control in it. That's how I'm taking this. That's how I'm justifying it. I'm playing the dice as they lie. 2. Okay, that's also a 2. Education. Oh, interesting. So the leather... Do we come up with names for these now since we start to actually know a bit about them? So what are these? The acolytes prefer nice thin silks, usually of black and gray, and they do enjoy their electronic music. They're commonly associated with cooking and tend to have a bit of a more of a savory tongue, and they're typecast into their religion. They are expected to be a part of the faith, though usually they are not the ones who are in any sort of meaningful control of it. Alright, the plus education minus... I don't know if I can justify this one. I swear this is the honest roll. Okay, so I rolled a 2 for what they're good at and a 2 for what they're bad at. I can do that for the religion. I think I can't do that for education. Can I? It would be the same. No, it would be the same justification. It would be the same thing. It would be them. If I wanted to keep that minus education there, it would be that they are students. Is that they are the standard student who has no control over it. But that doesn't make sense because then whatever. 7 this time. Music. Okay, so music is probably more the purview of the acolytes than. So what do we call the gender that focuses on leather, electronic music, that likes smoky and bitter drinks? No, no. What about... No. What else can we use here? Yeah, I think that one works. Okay. Hit me with a better idea. I got nothing. It just works. It just works, everybody. Okay, it just works. All right. So this third one, who prefers nice, soft, relaxing clothing, is... Oh, that makes sense. Plus... fashion. These are the fashionista. But what are they expected... What is it assumed that they don't do? The dice can't keep getting away with this. Okay. Warfare. Okay. Don't. So these are plus fashion minus warfare. So what do these focus on? What are we calling this now? It's focusing on fashion, but also relaxing styles of fashion. These are the bards, aren't they? These are the bards of the culture. They have their strings. They have their smokes. They have a black and gray soft clothing that is very fashionable, and they're expected not to go to war. I like that. This tracks. This is a world building stream. Yeah, we're using this utility here called elf genders, where we're creating 4 genders for a race of fantasy elves that go out, that do not map onto what we have as our default genders as humans. Alright, so what is this 4th one going to have as its primary focus? Where do they have the most power and authority? 6. Magic. Ooh. Oh, so these are the shamans almost certainly, right? Bone wearing cooks that like bland food with earth tone clothes. These are shamans. What do they not do? It happened again! I rolled another 6. It's plus magic minus magic. Fine, I'm re-rolling it. No, we can't. The dice cannot keep on getting away with it. 5. I pat my eyes on you. Oh, minus government. Okay. So what do we have as for this? How do these map onto each other then? So these acolytes are more focused on religion. But maybe shaman isn't the right word because if we're using the religion one. The acolytes and the shamans are the two cooks of the tribes. The daddies are presumably more the hunters, but also the educators. Which, I mean, that also maps onto it. You know, it fits. The leather, the smoke, the bitter, the father figure educator vibes. No, this all works perfectly. And then the bards are more laid back and relaxed. Okay. We've already determined that most elves share similar tattoos with their gender, and changing the gender is celebrated, and changing the body is fairly common. So this is a high magic society. There's enough magic in here, in the society, for body transmogrification to be fairly common. And that would mean, okay. So the similar tattoos, but built upon. If you have, so your tattoos tell the story of your life. And if changing gender is celebrated, you change your gender every time you have a major life event or anything that really drives you into changing something else. Again, if you're living thousands of years, you're not going to live thousands of years with the same gender, right? That'd be crazy. So if you're living hundreds of years, then you get new tattoos that show your journey and to show where you went. If you went from an acolyte, then you became a bard, then you became a shaman, then you have that journey. So your tattoos tell your journey. Okay. Alright, we got personality traits in here. Now, the thing is, realistically, I could end this now. I'm not going to, but I could. Because we have enough to figure out what these are, right? We have enough to say that the fashionist, soft, cozy bards are probably more trendy and more artsy, but we could probably figure this out. But we're not going to. We're rolling for everything. We're going old-fashioned rules. We have enough to build a society. If I was actually using this for world building, I would say cool. We have a religious caste. We have these father-type figures. Not all, male and female don't factor into this, right? This is gender, not sex. This is not whether or not you can bear a child. This is how you identify. Gender and sex are not the same thing. The words mean different things. That's just science. Yeah. So we have these. I'm using daddy because I don't need to explain this. Then we have the bards, which are more fashionist, probably more traveling. And then the shamans, which are going to be the hunters and the magic users. I could make the entire culture off of this. But because we have this resource and we're going to keep on using it, we're keeping on going. We're going to keep it happening. So plus, we have 2 positive and 2 negative. So the acolytes are, by default, more honest. And this is a generalization. Not all acolytes are honest, but on average, if you meet an acolyte, you're more likely to trust them. They're also very charming, which makes sense. I like that. The acolytes are, however, more gullible. I mean, I'm not saying it makes sense. I'm just saying that I can see it. Don't worry about that. And nat 20 for the other negative one. What is that? Perfect! They're gullible and superstitious. They're acolytes. They are focused on religion, but again, this minus here, they are not the ones in charge of religion. They are expected to participate in it. If you decide that your gender is going to be the acolyte, then you are expected, or assumed rather, that you're probably going to be involved in the church in some way. But you are not going to be in a leadership role. The leadership role probably goes to the shamans. And again, these are stereotypes. We are not saying that every single person who identifies as an acolyte is going to be all of these. We are creating the generalizations that the culture makes about them, right? In the same way that someone who's masculine is assumed to be more aggressive or more of a go-getter, whereas someone who is feminine in our society is expected to be more of a homemaker. Like, these are generalizations. They're not always going to be true. But by making the generalizations, we can create the culture that the generalizations exist in, right? The daddies are... They're funny. Not gonna lie, I'm really liking these guys. Not gonna lie, this sounded better and better. And 5. Determined. Ooh. Okay. I mean, I like this. This sounds great. I like my men the way I like my books. Funny, long, bound in leather. Anyways, next, moving on to their downsides. So here we have the negative traits for them. 12. Nationalistic. Ooh, that is a downside. I can see it. I can kind of see that making sense, though. And naive. Whoa, that doesn't work because of the education. I'm actually going to re-roll that because that conflicts with this up here. That comes out to a 15. They're petty. That makes more sense. I can accept petty more than I can accept that they would be... Yeah. Okay. So we got a better idea of this. They're tend to be a bit more nationalistic. They tend to be a bit more petty, but they're funny and determined. They're not the musicians, but they are the educators. And this enjoyment of leather, smoke, and bitter all maps really nicely onto moving on. The bards. Let's roll hope for a 1. We got a 6. Enthusiastic. That makes sense. And a 9. Funny. Well, of course, they're bards. Obviously, they're going to be funny. That just goes part and parcel. But the negative sides for them is that they are going to be melodramatic because they're bards. Obviously. Again, I am rolling dice for every single one of these. 9. There go. I'm going to re-roll that one because we already had that in a more interesting... Hoarding. That's more interesting. And, okay, so the bards tend to be a bit more of a hoarder because they probably travel a lot more, don't they? That would make more sense? They travel the world. Which means that they're going to be wanting to keep trinkets and treasures from everywhere they go. The shamans... Nat 1 are artsy. Interesting given everything else they have. Given the bone, given the earth tones, and given the bland food, having them be artsy is not something I would have expected. And 15, resourceful. That makes sense. I can see these people going off into the woods for several days to craft something interesting out of bone. Tragically, though, they are dishonest. Ooh, that's interesting. Again, this is the culture's... This doesn't mean that they are all... This is the cultural assumption that if you meet a shaman, you kind of go, I don't know if we can trust him, honey. And anxious, natural 1. I think that makes some sense. Okay, so... Now these are really taking a unique form, right? We wouldn't have been able to predict several of these things. Which is why we have charts. Romance and sexuality. And these are more general things. We go back up to the top. What is the usual relationship between romance... What? Between romance and between gender and romance and sexuality? What is going on here? I see. YouTube wants me to know that I'm live. Thanks, YouTube. I didn't know this. Thank you so much for this critical information, YouTube. Anyways, where were we? 9 elves of 5 plus different genders usually form larger groups? Wait, what does that mean? Well, we only have 4 genders, so I think that one doesn't track onto anything. I re-rolled it to get a 7. Elves of the same gender usually form larger groups. That makes sense with our current culture that we have. So, the acolytes tend to be together with each other. The leather daddies tend to be together with each other. Just not in terms of necessarily romance, not necessarily. But the bards. So these, yeah. But yeah, okay. So it sounds like we have fairly poly situations forming larger groups. Interesting. Ooh, I like this one here. Elves have sex with one gender for procreation and another for fun. I like that dynamic. How does society regard those who deviate from the usual romantic or sexual pattern? So if you are an acolyte, if you identify as an acolyte, but you don't join any the church, but you still consider yourself to be an acolyte, again, acolyte just being the term for this gender, then you would be considered, this is going to be for everybody, but that's 8. Oh, sacred. Okay. So okay, got it. Interesting. So if you have a bunch of acolytes in a relationship, let's say you have 3 or 4 acolytes in a poly relationship, then they are normal. If you have 3 leather daddies in a poly relationship, then that's considered, how things normally go. But if an acolyte and a daddy, or if an acolyte and a bard get together, then that is considered a sacred union. I like that idea. That's interesting. So you might be an acolyte, and then you might change and become a bard. But if you say, no, I am an acolyte, I'm still involved in the faith, I still am wearing my maybe religious silks, but I'm joining the bard polycule, then they would be celebrated for going out for that choice. Most of them don't, which is why it's more rare, and that rarity is celebrated. That's interesting. I like this culture. We're making a cool culture here. To conclude, gather your players while sections of what is my character's response to elf society's gender norms? So this is what you would, okay. And so this is like one of the NPCs might have had never really thought about gender norms until just recently. Okay, so we have a society of poly elves who tend to form larger romantic groups and change their bodies and wait a minute. Let's backtrack this a second. Let's back this up a bit. Changing your gender is celebrated, and cross-gender relationships are considered sacred unions. Yo, these things stack, don't they? If you consider changing your gender to be sacred, to be a celebration, and if you're currently in a poly relationship with several people from the same gender that you are now leaving, well, now you are creating an immediate... If you stay in that same unit, if you stay in that same relationship, then that cross-gendered relationship is now considered a more sacred thing, a beautiful thing. You manage to transcend the expectations of that group. And you get a new tattoo, which means that you get a new tattoo, and that group will celebrate you. And you may choose to stay in that group, or you may choose to move on to find a relationship with people who are of that, more like you in that sense, more that are more like what you live with. And the body is only loosely associated with gender. With the exception of a Vaporeon tattoo? Yeah, sure, probably. And we have the acolytes, commonly wearing their thin silks of black and gray, loving their electronic music, often with the leather daddies, who also love their electronic music, though with brighter colors, and wearing leathers. The acolytes tend to be, all of these fit with the religion, right? Basically, we keep acolytes as the name because all of these fit with this. They are in the religion, but also not in charge of it. They're honest but they're honest with what they know, and they are gullible and superstitious. So even though they are honest, they might not be correct. They're honest with what they believe the truth is, but they have a charm to them. They have an innocence. They have a beauty that everyone loves, and they tend to get together in larger groups with each other, usually related to the religious ceremonies that they have, religious ceremonies of which are run by the shaman. The shaman, however, also spend a lot of time out in the world, out in nature, harvesting the bone that they tend to wear with their earth tones, creating their ethereal music with simple flutes and drums, and yes, making some fairly bland food, which in turn the acolytes would tend to, well, fix. When the shamans come back with their bland food, the acolytes would season it before serving it to whoever needs to be served the food. The shamans, however, are seen as dishonest, not in an actually dishonest sort of way, but, if you see a shaman, you don't always trust that they are currently of sound mind because of the number of religious journeys and drugs they do and out in the woods. Who knows what they're up to out there. They're very resourceful. They can stay out in the woods for a very long time. And which is part of why they're so good at magic and art, which are very linked. Magic and art are linked in this world, I've decided, because the magic of the world is related to paintings and artistic expression. Which, so many times their bone clothing will have other reds and designs drawn onto them, some of which are magical, some of which are just pretty. But these two, the acolytes, when the acolytes are not worrying about their shamans, as they like to do, they're also often hanging out with the daddies, who tend to be a bit more focused on the societal builds. These are going to be a bit more of the governmental types, with their nationalistic streak, and it'd be a little bit of a petty nature, but they're funny, determined. They have this general drive to educate. They want to be the ones to teach others. They want to be the ones to help educate the new generations. And I mean, Smokes and Bitters tells you a lot about their taste, right? This is going to be somebody who's going to have a nice old-fashioned at the end of the day. They do love the same music as the acolytes. They do share that in common. And frankly, the bards are kind of on their own in this. The bards are simultaneously with everybody and not really as blended into the rest of the society. Anybody can become a bard, anybody can be a bard, anybody can take that path. Soft clothing in blacks and grays is appealing to the acolytes' style. A love for strings instruments and the Smokes also appeals to the leather daddies. A enjoyment of fashion, but a distaste for warfare is sort of how they make their way in the world, as going out with being these theater kids or these singers or however these making their way in the world. But of course they're melodramatic. Obviously they're melodramatic. Why wouldn't they be? They're bards. They're funny and enthusiastic, which makes them so endearing to be around, but you wouldn't necessarily trust the entire nation in their hands. And unfortunately, they like to keep trinkets. They like to carry around large wagons full of their stuff. Despite the amount of that they travel, they like to keep all of it with them. Which, while they don't actually hoard, while they don't actually keep more possessions, the fact that they try to travel with all their possessions because they don't want to be tied to a specific home is why they're seen as hoarders rather than that they actually are. What do you think? What do you think, chat? This is imagination. This is about imagination. This is about having an interest in imagination and using that imagination to create worlds. Just today, we told... you can't see that. Nope. Ignore what was up there. Right today, we had this wonderful possum who was the town mayor who's going on a hike. We had this crabby mole who wanted a sweater, and we wanted to give him something that's not going to explode. We had the Tuzzy the fox, who was caring for several children from one of their family members, and trying to deal with that all day. We had another Hedgehog who forgot who forgot an anniversary gift for their beloved, their beloved Kobold. We had a weasel grandmother who was one of the famous bards of the land. We had a delightful bat who was all set for a exciting interview. We had a frankly rather annoying rabbit who was just coming in who had good intentions. They just wanted to come in and hang around with the shop for a while. And we had a crazy bird fly into our shop that we had to deal with. And then we learned about this elven society with bodies that are important, that are loosely associated with gender, but bodies are important because the tattoos tell the journey of the elf. These tattoos that start on the tip of the left hand, then go all the way up to the arm onto the back, and once they cross the back, they go down the other arm. If they're still alive at that point, which is considered a very prestigious event, then they'll start adding tattoos down their spine. And they add tattoos anytime something significant changes in their life, including but not limited to changing their gender. But anytime they have a big life change, whether it's having a child, moving to a new town, getting a new house, or for some of them, it might be even a smaller thing. They had a breakthrough in their work or their craft or their hobby. Something that they were passionate about really started to take root and they decided to get a tattoo to remind themselves, to show that a part of their journey. Changing their bodies are fairly common because, well, that's perfectly reasonable. And the members of the same gender tend to form larger romantic groups, with cross-gender relationships considered sacred and uncommon, but also relating to any time someone changed their gender. If they were in a group that was all of the same, if it was one group of all the same type of peoples, then that group now has somebody who was from a different group of people, and that's considered beautiful. Even though it's usually not common, even though it's more common for them to end up together with each other, it becomes a thing. It becomes a whole thing. It becomes a whole beautiful thing. I love this. I think that we did some really cool stuff here today. We had... And I warned you going in. This stream is exactly what it says on the tin. You clicked on this because you were wondering, what the heck is Jade on about? What is going on? Why are we talking about hedgehog sweaters and elf genders? And I think that now you understand. And once again, you can get all of these, and how many more are there in this package? I just grabbed 2 that seemed interesting to me. But there are 500 items. Okay. 500 items in this charity donation set for $5. That's all. $5. All the money is going towards trans rights organizations in Florida where they need it. Frankly, they need it, right? The fact that this doesn't help me is not meaningful in the least. The fact is that this helps people who need it the most, and there's strong value in that. some of the bigger names in this list. This also includes Thirsty Sword Lesbians, an entire RPG system built around the idea of tipping up your opponent's chin with the tip of your sword and confessing your love while your blades are crossed. That's the whole point of the system. You have Visigoths versus Molgoths. I don't know what that's about, but it sounds delightful. We Deal in Lead, which is a Western style, a weird Wild West sort of adventure game. We have Maharlika, the RPG, which is a tactical mecha RPG inspired by Filipino mythology, and again, 490 more, plus the elf genders, plus the hedgehogs, plus a comedy role-playing game called Stacks of Goblins, where you stack goblins on top of each other. So yeah, the link is still pinned. It'll be a pinned comment at the end. Wait, a mech game based on Filipino... I haven't even seen what this is, but let's find out together. You know what? We're going to add a little bit more just as I find out what the heck this thing is. It's called Maharlika. Maharlika? Maharlika. It's normally $25 standalone. Maharlika RPG is a techno-mystic science fantasy mecha RPG inspired by Filipino mythology, centered around mechanized weapons, or mecha, and their pilots, and the eponymous Maharlika. You play as these titular spirit warriors, mavericks, aces, knights, that all swear lovingly to Adatu, one of the CEOs of the mega corporations, so that you can protect the techno-spiritual galaxy of Archipelago. Because Archipelago, but it's spelled with a K, so it's like Arc. Look, TTRPGs be like that sometimes, It just be like that. Other times you're just an exceptionally skilled person trying to make ends meet, and loyalty is another word for whatever that makes the most money. You're a free person after all. As a Maharlika, you venture out into space where you will take on dangerous missions, fight for your ideals, hack the spiritual internet that is the Lambat, repel xenobeings, trade love and resources, participate in fiestas to survive, thrive, and protect what is yours in the dangerous Starsea. In Maharlika, you will find rules for narrative play, build relationships, use your origins and experience to influence the outcome of roles, never roll if the roll is without doubt or consequence. Tactical mecha combat, build a mecha choosing from 24 Malankas, or mecha frames, and customizing that with with 168 separate weapons, modules, systems, protocols, and parts, all inspired by Lancer, Strike RPG, BattleTech, and D&D 4e. This is sounding better all the time. Deal with Sikat, your fame with Megacorps, and with Utang, your obligatory and material debt to them. Become a Maharlika, working tooth and nail to provide the most basic things. Find a feudal galaxy inspired by neo-feudal and neo-colonial trappings of modern-day Philippines. A dangerous and diverse galaxy known as Archipelago, inspired by Filipino history, mythology, and folklore. Find the Dewa, spiritual reality that is actually the smallest part of reality that exists within everything. Convene with the powerful Fey god beings known as Dewata, the personified god spirits of the universe. Hack the interface with a Lambat. Lambit. The Internet of Things that takes advantage of the Dewa. Be caught in the politics of the 4 megacorporations, for the actual government is hopelessly incompetent. So cyberpunk-style things. Upheave the feudal capitalist system of the Lacante. Travel to the land of God in the middle of the galaxy, where the Impintio Dios resides, and the powerful spirit warriors that pilot the walking giant suits that are the mecha. That sounds kind of cool. Actually, that sounds like it rules. Yeah, I don't know anything about most of these things. There's one called The Crownless, which is inspired by Elden Ring. So it's a tabletop inspired by Elden Ring. Some of them are just awkward things that are funny, like Butterfly Court, or these elf genders, or Rod, Reel, and Fist, where a fishing tabletop RPG. Yep, a feature-length fishing tabletop RPG. There are a lot of options in here. A lot of them sound pretty cool. Let's see if anything else catches my eye here to talk about. There's also several solo tabletop RPGs. We did the first half of the stream. I see a bunch of people have come in since then, but the first half of the stream was all about solo RPGs and just playing using a system to play a game with ourselves that just pricks our imagination. There's another one called the Tea Shelf, a solo RPG about being in a tea shop. There's another one based on Ironsworn, where you have to find a serial killer in a Victorian city, and it gives you the tools to help you find that. There's another one, a solo RPG called Castle of Memories, which looks like it's a Castlevania-inspired solo TTRPG about exploring a castle and finding lost memories within it. There's a lot of cool stuff in here, and I lament that I'm probably not going to have the time and spoons to be able to look at all of it. Genuinely, that is going to make me sad. I'm going to be sad about this thing that is going to make me sad. Because, frankly, everything in here deserves to be looked at. And I hope that you do. And you know what? If you find one in here that looks cool, let me know in the comments section. Let me know in the comments section which of these things you think you would want to play. Take a look at the pinned comment and let me know what you think would be interesting to explore, you know? Is it Biker Wizards? Yes, Biker Wizards is one of the things in here. Sorry, I'm just still glancing at this and just kind of soaking it up for the next, couple minutes. Round this out at 2 hours, right? I can burn 10 minutes looking at random things on the internet. I can burn more than that looking at random things on the internet. Arr. Super Hollow Boards. City of the Dead is a prototype RPG, so there are a couple of things in here that aren't completely done. Bird Heist. It's Honey Heist, but you play as a bird. I don't know what that means. I don't know what Honey Heist is, but if you know what Honey Heist is, maybe you want a version of that has birds. Ninja Stealth Training. Okay. A bookmark told me that I'm a ninja, and now I have to prove it. That sounds delightful. A solo journaling game that's called A Monster Ate My Book, that leads you on some of these same types of prompts that we had earlier. There's so much inspiration here, so much magic, and so much that you can look into. And I hope that you do. And if you do, well, let me know how it goes. Genuinely. Let me know what you think of this. Let me know what sparks your imagination. Whether it's hedgehogs and sweaters, elves with genders, or anything in between. So thank you all. I hope that you have a wonderful evening. And thank you for deciding to spend your time with me. It means the world to me. Good night, friends, and I love you.